The reveal trailer for Jedi Survivor just dropped at the Game Awards, and I personally had to give it the BTBN award, cause it made me bust the biggest nut. This is exactly what Star Wars has needed in the games department. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Star. We finally got our first look at gameplay of the sequel to Fallen Order. Clone Wars era battle droids, akimbo lightsaber combat, new ways to explore, and that's either Ant-Man or Starkiller. Either way, we're gonna break down everything in the trailer and get ourselves ready for what's on the way. If you're new to the channel, I gotta do the obligatory YouTuber thing and mind trick you into subscribing. And if you enjoyed today's video, force push that thumbs up button. Where to start? There are so many cool things in this trailer. We won't take it shot by shot. Instead, I want to break this down into two parts. The first part about the new lore, and the second part exclusively about the actual gameplay. Instead of starting on what's in the trailer though, let's focus real quick on who's not in it. Merrin simps across the galaxy are losing their minds right now. She wasn't in the trailer. Neither was Greasy Money, and that makes me wonder what exactly happened to them, since we do get a shot of Cere, so we know she's okay. But what about the rest of the Mantis crew? It's implied they're in trouble, since Cal has to decide how far he's willing to go to save those closest to him. Maybe they got captured by the Empire as bargaining chips against Cal, since he's apparently become the Empire's most wanted. And how about Cere's new getup? It looks like she's fully committed to the Jedi ways again, and has even set up a little library in what looks like Eno Cordova's place on the planet Bogano. She even has an assistant there with her, and she's now basically the new Jocasta Nu. And then, of course, the pro tag himself, Cal, loving the 5 o'clock orange juice, my boy. As far as new faces go, we finally get the reveal of who was in that Bacta tank. And while we don't get a name, we do get a bit of a backstory. This guy is familiar with the Jedi Order and talks about how he was betrayed by those he trusted most, implying he was maybe a Jedi Knight or a Padawan in the past. Since we don't know exactly how long he's been in that tank, he could even be from the High Republic, which could be an interesting way to tie that era into the story, but that could be a stretch. We see him conspiring with a bounty hunter, talking about Cal no longer being a threat now that they have that little device in his hand. We don't know what it is or what it does, but pretty safe to say these are some of the major antagonists of the game. Especially this guy. I had to do a lot of extra research to figure out who this was, and it turns out this is actually your mom. Also, I know I wasn't the only one thinking it. This looks a lot like Starkiller. I doubt it's him, but that would be wild if this game recanonizes Galen Merrick. I don't think this is the same person as in the Bacta tank, since this masked individual still has their right arm, and I'm not even convinced this is another Jedi or Sith, since it looks like they've actually taken one of Cal's lightsabers. You can even see the crossguard hilt. Maybe they're Force sensitive, maybe they're Starkiller, maybe they're not. It's not just new villains who get showcased in this trailer though, there's also new friends. This is Bode Akuna, a new ally who's giving Cal a helping hand, and who demos an awesome tag team attack with Cal against this stormtrooper. I guess stabbing him with a lightsaber wasn't enough, he needed a good kick to the face too. But this implies more cooperative gameplay with teammates. Maybe once we find Merrin, she and Cal can do some cool witchy Jedi Force stuff. Same with any other character Cal can partner up with. And this segues pretty well into the actual gameplay section. There's not much else to talk about in terms of lore. Cal gets a new crossguard on his lightsaber. He steals the Mantis, sucks at flying it, and crashes it. That's about all we get so far. Let's talk about gameplay, because this is the real good stuff. It's what's on everybody's mind. Cal finally has 2 lightsabers in hand, and he's using them in a brand new fighting style. This was a huge criticism of the first game, where Cal did have a double-bladed saber, and he could separate it to hold 2 blades, but only briefly, and for really powerful attacks. This time around, he's freely swinging those blades around, so Respawn listened and Respawn delivered. On top of 2 sabers, we also know he'll have a blaster to mix in ranged attacks, although that wasn't shown in this trailer. As far as Force abilities go, he still has all of his old powers, the push, the pull, his signature Force slow ability, but he also gets some new tricks, like launching his target straight up into the air. And speaking of those targets, some of the new enemies we'll be fighting in Survivor are hype. B1 battle droids, super battle droids, BX commandos, Magna Guards. It's like the Clone Wars never ended. Cal probably won't be too happy seeing these guys running around, so we shouldn't be afraid to smash them up. There's other new enemies too, like the DT series sentry droids, new bounty hunters, whatever this dinosaur thing is, and of course your run-of-the-mill Imperial soldiers. The Clone Wars enemies are incredible, but it raises a lot of questions, like who activated these droids and who's controlling them? And we of course can't forget about this new variant of Wampa. This was a bit of a shock to see the first time. We know Wampas are on Hoth, so seeing this forest or swamp Wampa or whatever it is was really cool. A swampa, if you will. The enemies in the combat look great, but one of my favorite parts of the trailer had to be what's possible with exploration. It looks like Cal gets a lot of new gadgets and abilities to help him get from place to place, but beyond that, he gets help from the local wildlife, which gave me serious Legend of Zelda vibes. For the first time, we can ride giant birds and other creatures for faster movement, which means there probably still won't be any fast travel, but at the very least there's mounts we can ride, which is a really nice feature, especially since you can even take them into combat. Cal himself has some new movement tricks of his own. In Fallen Order, all we had was the double jump, but in Survivor, it looks like Cal can do things like perform a mid-air dash or scale down walls using his lightsaber. He also gets some cool new tools, like a grapple hook to help reach faraway spots. Gadgets were a big part of the first game. The climbing claws and the breather were essential tools for exploration, and it looks like Survivor is following the trend. The trailer also highlights some awesome locations we'll be visiting, planets both old and new. The locations include Bogano, possibly Lothal, which was featured heavily in Star Wars Rebels, and Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, to be real, we actually don't know where most of these locations are. The planets shown in the trailer seem pretty new for the most part. Like I mentioned earlier, it looks like Cere set up shop on Bogano, which makes perfect sense considering it was basically home base in Fallen Order. Everywhere else, though, is really hard to make out. There's an Imperial facility, a jungle planet which could possibly be Kashyyyk, and Phoenix, Arizona here is the planet Cal crash lands the Mantis on. And hey, the more new planets the better as far as I'm concerned. The selection in the first game was a little bit lacking, to be honest. I know there's more than just 5 or 6 planets in the galaxy far, far away. I can't wait to explore them all with you guys when this game finally drops, and the trailer confirms the release date to be March 17th. I previously reported it would be on the 15th, but the trailer confirms the actual date. And a final thing of note to mention here, there will actually be a new novel coming out on March 1st that acts as a sort of prequel to this game. Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars is technically the 3rd entry in the Jedi franchise, and will be some great reading material for the lead up to Survivor's release. The novel will feature the Mantis crew helping a defecting stormtrooper as they're being hunted by the 5th brother of the Inquisitors. Some good stuff for canon junkies, and maybe some hints about the game in there too. But guys, that's all the stuff in the trailer. If you caught something I missed, let me know in the comments below. And let's make it extra interesting. Comment your team below, Team Merrin or Team Greez. We gotta get them back, man. Who do we save first? But that's all for today's video. If you found it entertaining or educational, be sure to drop a like, consider subscribing and getting notified if you're a new viewer, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.